I'm Stuart Kightley. I head up Osbornes Personal Injury Department. I wear three hats and a helmet when it comes to cycling and the law. First, cycling itself. I'm an avid cyclist. I cycle to work every day, have done for 12 years. Love the exercise, hate the tube. Secondly, the lawyer bit. There's 20 lawyers here at Osbornes. We're approved solicitors by Headway, the brain injury charity, by the Spinal Injuries Association, and by the London Cycling Campaign. So we know what we're doing in terms of representing those who need redress, who seek compensation when they're seriously injured or killed in accidents on the road. Thirdly, the campaigning bit. I'm on the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers Executive, and as I say, we are legal partners with the LCC, the London Cycling Campaign. So we care about promoting and protecting the rights of cyclists, all of which I think means I have something to say about cycling and the law. And in this series of clips, I'll be talking about areas I think are maybe of interest to other cyclists as far as the legal side of things is concerned. The first thing that's quite an issue for me and for other cyclists, especially in London, concerns the dangers of left-turning lorries. Now, it's been a problem for many years now and is featured in the press regularly, where there's, it seems, an ending list of tragedies where cyclists are hit, seriously injured or killed by a left-turning lorry. And the problem is, of course, London's a big metropolis with often narrow streets and big juggernaut lorries, often 16 or 20-ton lorries with 4 axles, and they're monsters. So the job of politicians, of legislators, is to try their best to make sure there's proper segregation and demarcation between the vulnerable cyclist on the one hand and the lorry on the other, and to think of other ways to make it a little bit safer for the cyclists being cheek by jowl alongside these lorries. I mean, some say ban lorries entirely from London. Others say that's not practical, although I'm sure there's a case for restricting the hours that these big juggernauts spend in the centre of the city. So better segregation is one point, and I mean there are hotspots in London where these accidents regularly happen, I'm afraid, and where that's the case, the road layout needs to be designed a lot better and improved to protect cyclists. Secondly, there's the issue of signage. I see daily now much better. There are real improvements now in the way lorries sign themselves. You know, they have stickers quite often warning cyclists not to go up the inside, overtaking stationary lorries, which is quite important. You have audio as well, with some lorries actually having these quite annoying but quite effective announcements that they're turning left. So that helps. Better mirrors is a really important issue. I see that problem as a lawyer quite often in cases where these lorries, the drivers are very high up in their cabs. They don't look or they can't see, and their mirrors and the ergonomics of the cab really aren't very good. There's been some work in improving the layout and design of lorries, but there's more to be done. Better education is another important point, especially for the lorry drivers who regularly don't see the cyclists on the inside. But also, I have to say, for us cyclists ourselves, I confess that I tended to cycle up the inside of lorries at a junction to get to the cycling box junction at the front. It's not always necessary and can be dangerous, of course, when the lights change as you're en route to the box and the lorry turns left suddenly without having indicated. It's a really dangerous thing. So there's nothing wrong with hanging back and for the cyclist to kind of just stay your distance. So there's probably more for us all to do. Now, when I see these cases, when I bring them on behalf of injured people, you may think they'd be quite straightforward. You've got a left-turning lorry where the driver's not looking, but they have various, sometimes fanciful, other times reasonable defences, because the lorry driver hasn't seen the cyclist, so we'll argue that they flew from nowhere, they came off the pavement, and other defences. So these cases aren't often straightforward, and because they're serious injuries, they're often fought. So that's maybe a flavour of the sort of issues that that we deal with when dealing with cases of cyclists and left-turning lorries. What needs to be proved in these and other claims will maybe be the subject of the next blog I'll do, so please stay tuned.